6 boundaries men set that turn women on. Psychology facts. Old Stoic wisdom. The best love is the one that makes you a better man without changing you into someone other than yourself. Restraint. Here's a truth that many men never truly understand. Setting boundaries doesn't repel women. It actually attracts them. But we're not talking about weak, insecure boundaries driven by neediness or manipulation. Real boundaries come from a place of self-respect, clear purpose, and grounded masculinity. In this video, I'm going to break down 6 specific boundaries that ignite attraction on a deep psychological level. These aren't about playing power games or trying to control others. Instead, they're about communicating your values clearly and standing firm in who you are. When you hold these boundaries with confidence, the right kind of woman won't walk away. She'll lean in, feeling safe and drawn to your strength. The difference is subtle but powerful. Boundaries show you're a man who knows himself, who respects his time and energy, and who won't settle for less than what he deserves. And that kind of clarity is incredibly magnetic. Stick with me until we get to boundary number 6. It's the one that not only protects your inner power, but also shifts how she sees you, and even how she sees herself when she's with you. It's transformative in a way most men overlook, but it can completely change the dynamic between you two. So, if you're ready to step into a stronger, more attractive version of yourself, let's get started. 1. The no apology rule. The no apology rule is among the most powerful boundaries a man can establish, yet its psychological depth often goes unrecognized. This principle goes far beyond simply refusing a request. It's about the way that refusal is communicated. The true impact doesn't come from how often you say yes or no, but from the unwavering confidence, tone, and body language you bring to your no. When a man says no politely but firmly, without drowning his refusal in over-explanations or unnecessarily softening it with apologies, he sends an unmistakable and magnetic message. I trust myself and my decisions. In today's world, where many feel the relentless pressure to please others at every turn, often sacrificing their own needs and boundaries, this kind of self-assurance stands out as rare and precious. Stoic wisdom reminds us that rarity is power, and the scarcity of genuine self-trust combined with unshakable boundaries makes a man irresistibly attractive and respected. Picture a man who calmly states, "No, I won't be able to make it," with quiet conviction, without fidgeting, without softening his stance, and without seeking approval. In doing so, he signals clearly that his time, energy, and priorities are valuable and deliberately protected. This approach is not about coldness or dismissiveness. Rather, it's a clear statement of self-worth communicated without hesitation or guilt. Conversely, a man who constantly says yes, trying to be liked and accepted by everyone, often comes across as needy or insecure because he's not honoring his own limits or living authentically. The urgency to master this art of saying no confidently grows even more critical in our fast-paced, distraction-filled modern life, where boundaries are easily blurred and personal energy is quickly drained. Saying no without apology empowers you to carve out space for your true priorities, preserve your mental and emotional well-being, and foster respect that is both genuine and lasting in your relationships. When you stop apologizing for your boundaries, you embody a rare form of strength that resonates deeply on a subconscious level. Just as the Stoics taught, standing firm with grace and without needless justification elevates your presence and influence. The next time you feel tempted to soften a refusal with an apology, remember that the power lies in delivering your no with calm, steady assurance. This subtle but profound shift not only protects your time and values, but also quietly commands respect and attraction, allowing you to stand out effortlessly amid a sea of people desperate to please. Reflect on how many opportunities or relationships might improve simply by mastering this boundary. What would happen if you embraced this no apology rule and made it a daily habit? Share your experiences or challenges with saying no in the comments below, and let's build a conversation about how this simple yet powerful boundary can transform your life and relationships for the better. 2. The unavailable advantage. The power of being unavailable is one of the most overlooked yet profoundly magnetic boundaries a man can set, and it holds a unique allure that many women find irresistibly attractive. When you consciously guard your time, choosing not to respond immediately to every text, not dropping everything the moment she calls, or rearranging your life at a moment's notice, it might initially feel like a dangerous game, as if you risk losing her interest. But the truth is quite the opposite. This deliberate unavailability signals that your time is valuable, that you are a man with purpose, direction, and priorities beyond simply catering to someone else's schedule. It tells her you have a life worth stepping into, a world rich with meaning and substance. The ancient Stoics understood this implicitly. Seneca said, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." And here, power over your own time is a statement of inner strength and self-respect. By not being constantly available, you create a subtle tension and mystery that is incredibly magnetic because constant availability often screams the opposite, that there is nothing else going on in your life. Scarcity creates value, and suddenly you become a rare commodity in a sea of endless availability. In practical everyday life, this boundary translates into holding firm to your commitments, your work, your hobbies, and your personal growth without guilt or apology. It's about knowing your worth and not allowing your time to be devalued by being endlessly accessible. When a man understands this, he isn't playing mind games or acting indifferent out of manipulation. He is simply living authentically and inviting others to appreciate him for who he truly is, not just as an option at their disposal. This sets a tone of respect and admiration in the relationship because you show that your attention is earned, not given away carelessly. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic, advised, "Reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears," which can be applied here as well. Reject the urge to be immediately available, and you will find that the relationship dynamic shifts to one of deeper respect and attraction. The emotional depth that arises from this boundary is profound. When you are unavailable, you create an emotional pull rooted in mystery and desire. She begins to wonder about your life beyond the screen, about your passions and pursuits that don't revolve solely around her. This curiosity fosters a stronger emotional connection, making interactions richer and more meaningful. In contrast, when a man is always at someone's beck and call, it often leads to complacency and a loss of intrigue. Real attraction thrives in the balance of presence and absence, availability and independence. This is not about playing hard to get, but about living your truth as a man who commands his time and energy. The old saying, "Absence makes the heart grow fonder," carries timeless wisdom here. Distance and unavailability create space for desire to grow rather than wither. Moreover, this boundary is a practical form of self-care and respect that benefits both men and the women they connect with. It ensures that you are not losing yourself in the pursuit of pleasing others, and that your identity remains intact and strong. This kind of strength is deeply attractive because it reflects maturity and emotional intelligence, qualities that foster healthy and lasting relationships. It also sets a precedent for mutual respect and boundaries that both partners can appreciate and thrive within. If you're constantly available, your partner may unconsciously devalue your presence, because scarcity is a key component of appreciation. Incorporating this principle into your life can transform how you relate to women and yourself. By protecting your time, you create a life that is rich, purposeful, and magnetic. You send a clear message that you are a man of substance, one who values his time and energy and invites others to value it as well. I invite you to reflect on your own experiences. How has setting boundaries around your time affected your relationships? Have you noticed a change in how others perceive and treat you when you are less immediately available? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. Your insights could inspire others to embrace the power of unavailability and elevate their own connections. Remember, as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, guard well your spare moments. They are like uncut diamonds. Your time is your most valuable asset. Own it, protect it, and watch how it transforms your relationships and your life. 3. The respect reflex. Listen closely, because this message is for the man who refuses to settle for less than total command over his life and relationships. The respect reflex is your ultimate weapon in the battlefield of attraction and power, a weapon so subtle yet so devastatingly effective that most men never learn to wield it properly. Disrespect is not loud. It's not a screaming, obvious insult. It's the quiet dismissal, the eye roll barely hidden, the sarcastic dig masked as a joke, the subtle, dismissive comment dropped in front of others like a poison dart you barely see coming. Many men think ignoring these small slights shows they are cool or above it all, but in reality, letting these slides erode your status beneath your feet. It lowers your value in her eyes, even if she doesn't consciously understand why. You become less of a man, less of a leader in that moment, and the dangerous truth is she senses it on a primal level. The ancient Stoics, men like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, knew the power of calm, unyielding boundaries. They taught that self-respect and self-control are the foundation of all strength. So, you don't respond with anger, shouting, or theatrics. You respond with calm, unshakable authority. You call out the small disrespect quietly but clearly, setting a line in the sand. This act alone is revolutionary. It says, I respect myself too much to tolerate this, and by extension, demands she respect you the same way. This is strength distilled, quiet, powerful, and undeniable. When you hold this standard, something incredible happens. She feels safer around you, not because you are soft or submissive, but because your calm command creates a stable ground where she can let down her guard and be vulnerable. This security ignites attraction on a deep, instinctual level. Paradoxically, by standing firm, you invite her to lean into her own femininity, her softness, her natural grace. This is not weakness. This is magnetism. It's the dynamic that has existed since the dawn of human connection. Strong man, safe space, feminine flow. You become the anchor, the rock in her storm. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your refusal to accept subtle disrespect turns obstacles into your pathway to dominance and deeper attraction. These micro moments, the barely there slights and dismissals, reveal everything about the true power dynamics between you two. They are the small cracks where control can be lost or won. Recognize them. Own them. Respond to them with calm authority, not hesitation or aggression. This is your path to mastery, not just in relationships, but in life. When you command respect, you command the world around you. Don't wait for disrespect to grow into a wildfire. Snuff it out at the spark with quiet confidence. This is how you elevate yourself beyond the mediocre men who tolerate anything and everything. You set the standard, you enforce the standard, you live by the standard. And in doing so, you build a presence so powerful that she can't help but be drawn to it. So if you've ever caught yourself noticing those little micro moments, those subtle dismissals and snide comments, drop the word noticed in the comments right now. Let's start a movement of men who refuse to be disrespected and who demand the admiration they deserve. Like if you're ready to reclaim your power, subscribe for more wisdom that sharpens your edge and transforms your relationships. Comment below. I command respect, because that's the truth every man must own to win at life and love. The time is now. Stand firm. Speak up. Own your respect. Become the man she can't resist. 4. The calm test. The calm test stands as a crucial boundary that many men overlook, yet it holds incredible power to attract and deepen connection with women. When she throws a playful tease, a hint of sarcasm, or a mild provocation, it's not just about the words she's using, it's a test of your emotional leadership. Most men react instinctively. They get defensive, snap back, or shut down, not realizing that this very moment is where many lose their footing. Instead, the man who truly stands out leads rather than reacts. He remains composed, calm, and steady, responding not from impulse, but from a place of inner strength and centeredness. This calm is not about being cold or detached. It's about mastering your emotions and staying grounded in the face of unpredictability. The ancient Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius famously taught, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His wisdom reminds us that emotional control is the highest form of power because it's within our control, unlike the actions or moods of others. When a woman senses that she cannot rattle you, she feels safe and respected. The dynamic shifts from confrontation to curiosity. She starts to wonder about the unshakable parts of your character, what other challenges you face with the same steady confidence. This subtle power attracts on a primal level because it signals emotional maturity, reliability, and true leadership. In everyday life, this means practicing patience when faced with criticism or teasing, breathing through moments of tension, and responding with a quiet confidence rather than impulsive defensiveness. The calm test isn't just a fleeting interaction, it's a demonstration of a man's overall approach to life and relationships. When you maintain your center, you also inspire calm and trust in those around you. It's the difference between a relationship that feels like a roller coaster and one that feels like a safe harbor. Real wisdom from Seneca supports this. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. By mastering your response to provocations, you reduce unnecessary emotional suffering and elevate your presence. This boundary teaches that leadership begins within. The next time you encounter a moment designed to provoke, remember that your reaction shapes not just the interaction, but your entire relational landscape. Have you noticed how staying calm in challenging situations has changed how others perceive you or how you feel about yourself afterward? Share your experiences in the comments, and let's explore how mastering this boundary can transform your relationships and self-respect. Your insights might inspire others on the path to becoming the unshakable man women naturally gravitate toward. 5. The authority silenced. The true power of authority is deeply rooted in the art of silence and the ability to make decisions without hesitation or excessive justification. Many men fall into the habit of over-explaining themselves, thinking that laying out every detail or reason will clarify their position or win approval. In reality, this only dilutes their authority and reveals an unconscious need for validation. When you repeatedly find yourself elaborating why you made a choice, you are not asserting control, you're inviting doubt and signaling uncertainty, both to yourself and to others. Contrast this with the impact of a simple, clear statement, such as, "I won't be able to make it, but let's catch up later." There is no begging, no room for debate, just a firm boundary set with respect and confidence. This is not merely about communication style. It reflects a profound psychological principle tied to Old Stoic wisdom that emphasizes mastery over one's own mind and emotions rather than dependence on external approval. The Stoics believed that real strength comes from within, from being unshaken by the unpredictable opinions or reactions of others. In our modern fast-paced, hyper-connected world, this principle is more relevant than ever. People are inundated with information and constant demands on their attention, making clear, efficient communication not just preferable, but essential. A man who speaks with brevity and conviction is instantly seen as someone who knows his worth, manages his time well, and does not waste energy on unnecessary explanations. This efficiency is the hallmark of true confidence, one that doesn't need to convince others, but simply acts with purpose and clarity. Psychologically, this creates a magnetic boundary that is incredibly attractive. Women are drawn not just to words, but to the energy and presence behind them. When a man demonstrates that he is secure enough to set limits without apology, it triggers a deep sense of respect and intrigue. It signals emotional maturity, self-respect, and independence, all qualities that are profoundly alluring. In contrast, over-explaining and seeking permission can come across as insecure and needy, traits that naturally diminish attraction. This concept transcends simple social etiquette. It's about embodying a lifestyle philosophy where your decisions and boundaries are respected because they are firm and non-negotiable. It teaches men to lead themselves first, to honor their own time and energy, and to communicate with intent rather than hesitation. Embracing this mindset means letting your actions and presence do the talking, cultivating a quiet but unmistakable strength that commands attention effortlessly. In practical terms, this could mean declining invitations or requests without guilt or elaborate excuses, prioritizing your own goals and well-being, and trusting that those who respect you will appreciate your straightforwardness. This is not about being cold or dismissive, but about being clear and authentic. By doing so, you set a powerful precedent in your relationships and social interactions, creating a dynamic where your boundaries are honored and your confidence becomes a source of attraction. In essence, this is the embodiment of a modern Stoic man, someone who understands that the foundation of attraction and respect lies in self-control, clarity, and purposeful action. So the advice for men navigating today's complex social landscape is clear. Stop over-explaining, trust your decisions, and communicate with quiet authority. Let your presence, not your words, be the proof of your confidence. This approach doesn't just elevate your interactions, it transforms the way you live, making you more focused, respected, and ultimately more desirable. 6. The Mission First Code. The Mission First Code is the ultimate boundary that defines real masculine power and attraction, a line that every man who wants to captivate women must draw and never cross. This isn't about making a woman the center of your universe. It's about being the center of your own universe, a man who wakes up every morning with a clear purpose that demands his full attention, sacrifices, and fierce commitment. She doesn't want to be your whole life. She wants to join a journey that's already in motion, a mission that is bigger than either of you alone. When you live with this level of purpose, you radiate an irresistible energy. You become magnetic, not because you chase, but because you lead. You become the gravity pulling her into your orbit. This is the kind of man women can't stop thinking about, the kind of man who inspires loyalty, desire, and respect. Look around you. Society tells men to balance everything, to give equal time to work, family, and relationships, but this dilutes your power. The truth is brutal but freeing. When you prioritize your mission above all else, you are not selfish. You are dominant. You command your life. You decide your value. And women sense this power instinctively. The great Stoic Marcus Aurelius famously said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Be that man. Be the man who is unshakable in his goals and unbreakable in his drive." This is what creates longing and attraction. This is what flips the entire game. Here's the twist that most men miss. She does not want to complete you. She wants to belong to something greater than herself, something unstoppable that she can proudly say she is part of. She wants to witness your fire and feel the heat. She wants to orbit your mission, your purpose, not to be the fuel that starts or stops your flame. When you hold this boundary, mission first, you send a clear message. You are a man who leads, who sacrifices, who fights for what matters. This is magnetic. This is seductive. This is power. Women are wired to respect and desire a man who lives with relentless purpose, who doesn't flinch under pressure or lose focus on what truly matters. If you want to own your life, your love, your destiny, then own this boundary. In a world drowning in distractions and superficial connections, men with a mission shine like beacons. They don't beg for attention or approval. They command it. Their lives are a testament to strength, discipline, and vision. They are the men who inspire stories, who lead revolutions, who create legacies. And women don't just want to be part of their lives, they want to be part of their legends. As Theodore Roosevelt declared, "Far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those timid spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much." Your mission is that mighty thing. Your mission is that triumph. Let me be clear. Keeping your mission first is not about ignoring women. It's about respecting yourself enough to refuse distraction and dilution of your power. This boundary defines your value and raises your status. It creates a magnetic field so strong that women willingly step into your orbit and stay there because they sense your authenticity, your strength, and your vision. Do not confuse attention-seeking for attraction. Attraction flows naturally from a man who knows his worth and lives for his purpose. This is the modern masculine code, rooted in ancient wisdom, but perfectly suited for today's chaotic world. Now, here's your call to action. Commit to your mission like your life depends on it, because it does. Refuse to be a man who drifts, who loses himself in fleeting distractions, or who makes a woman his whole world. Instead, be the man who builds a world worth belonging to. Be the man who lives with unstoppable drive and demands nothing less than greatness. Write in the comments, "My mission fuels my power," and take ownership of your destiny right now. Like, share, and subscribe if you're ready to rise above mediocrity and live a life of purpose, power, and undeniable attraction. This is your moment. Command it. Own it. Be the mission, not the distraction. 7. The emotional fortress. One of the most powerful and often overlooked boundaries that a man can establish is what I call the emotional fortress. This isn't about building walls of coldness or emotional detachment, but rather about cultivating a resilient inner sanctuary that protects your emotional well-being without shutting out genuine connection. Women, consciously or unconsciously, are deeply attracted to men who demonstrate this kind of emotional stability because it reveals a profound sense of strength, self-respect, and maturity, qualities that echo the timeless wisdom of the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, famously reminded us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What he meant is that your true strength lies not in controlling the chaos around you, but in mastering your own inner world. The emotional fortress is exactly this mastery manifested in everyday life. When you create an emotional fortress, you don't shut people out. You shield your core so that you can engage with the world from a place of calm and confidence, rather than from reactivity or vulnerability to every emotional storm. It is a clear boundary that says, "I will not let external turmoil dictate my inner peace." This boundary is magnetic because it signals that you respect yourself enough to maintain your equilibrium, and paradoxically, this encourages others to trust and open up to you. Women sense that a man who has built this fortress is someone they can rely on, not because he's perfect or emotionless, but because he navigates emotions with clarity, control, and integrity. In practical, real-life terms, the emotional fortress means not allowing stress, frustration, or negativity to overwhelm you or dictate your responses. When challenges arise, whether in work, family, or relationships, you don't react impulsively or fall prey to emotional outbursts. Instead, you pause, breathe, and choose your response deliberately. This isn't always easy, especially in a world that often rewards quick, reactive behavior, but it's this very restraint that sets you apart. As Seneca wisely stated, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Setting clear emotional boundaries provides the direction and stability needed to navigate life storms effectively. Moreover, this boundary means clearly communicating your limits about what emotional behaviors you will accept or tolerate. It's about saying no to drama, manipulation, or disrespect in a calm but firm manner. By doing so, you create a relationship environment built on mutual respect, reducing confusion and conflict. You give others permission to understand where you stand emotionally, and that honesty fosters deeper trust and connection. It's important to remember that the emotional fortress doesn't mean you never allow vulnerability. On the contrary, it means you share vulnerability selectively and wisely, creating a safe space where both you and your partner can be open without fear of chaos or judgment. In everyday life, building and maintaining your emotional fortress might look like limiting exposure to toxic conversations or draining people, choosing to walk away from conflicts that serve no growth, or developing daily habits such as meditation, journaling, or stoic reflection to center yourself. These practices strengthen your ability to hold steady, even when external events seem overwhelming. It also means prioritizing your own peace and well-being consistently, because, as the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. When you protect your emotional energy, you become more capable of giving genuine love, support, and presence to those around you. This principle is especially critical for men between 35 and 70, a period often marked by complex life demands, shifting identities, and relationship dynamics. Setting this boundary can transform not only how you relate to others, but how you relate to yourself. It allows you to reclaim your time, your mental space, and your emotional health in a way that encourages growth rather than burnout. Women are instinctively drawn to this kind of grounded masculinity because it reflects a man who is centered, reliable, and emotionally intelligent, a modern embodiment of the Stoic ideal. So take a moment to ask yourself, where is your emotional fortress strong, and where might it have gaps? What patterns do you see in how you manage emotional stress or intimacy? And importantly, how has setting or failing to set these boundaries affected your relationships? I invite you to share your experiences, insights, or challenges in the comments below. Your story might just be the inspiration another man needs to start building his own emotional sanctuary, a place where strength meets vulnerability and true connection is possible. Would you like me to expand on additional boundaries or integrate specific Stoic exercises to help build this emotional fortress further? 8. The boundary of selective availability. The boundary of selective availability is a subtle, yet profoundly impactful principle that men can embrace to significantly enhance their relationships and deepen attraction. Rooted in timeless Stoic wisdom, this boundary teaches that true strength lies not in being constantly accessible or overly accommodating, but in choosing deliberately when and how to engage with others, especially women. In a modern world dominated by instant communication, social media, and endless demands on our time, the temptation to be perpetually available is strong. Yet, this constant accessibility often diminishes a man's perceived value and presence, making him appear less intriguing and less in control of his life. The Stoics understood that a man's energy and time are finite resources that must be protected with discipline and intentionality. When a man practices selective availability, he signals to the world that his time is precious, that he has priorities, and that he operates by his own standards rather than being reactive to every external pull. This choice cultivates an aura of confidence and independence, qualities that naturally attract women on a deep psychological level. It's the same principle behind the allure of rare treasures or a flower that blooms only under specific conditions. Scarcity enhances desire. When a man is not always instantly reachable, he creates a natural tension and curiosity, encouraging a woman to value the moments they share far more intensely because they feel earned rather than expected. This doesn't mean a man should ignore or dismiss women, but rather that he should set clear boundaries around his availability, investing fully and authentically when he does engage. Such a rhythm fosters respect, signals emotional maturity, and nurtures a connection that feels rich and rewarding instead of taken for granted. By honouring this boundary, a man demonstrates self-respect first and foremost, which in turn teaches others to respect his time and presence. This dynamic is essential in today's fast-paced, distraction-heavy culture, where many relationships falter under the weight of constant shallow communication and unclear boundaries. Selective availability, then, is not just about being elusive. It's about being purposeful, showing up fully when it counts, and preserving your energy and focus for what truly matters. This aligns perfectly with the old Stoic idea that a fulfilled life is one governed by reason and intentional action, not by external circumstances or the demands of others. For men seeking meaningful connections, embracing this boundary empowers them to reclaim their autonomy and craft relationships built on mutual respect, genuine attraction, and authenticity. It turns dating and relationships from a game of chasing and pleasing into a balanced dance of giving and receiving. In practice, this means setting clear times for communication, maintaining your personal interests and goals without compromise, and cultivating a strong inner life that is not dependent on constant external validation. Doing so not only makes a man more magnetic, but also more grounded, calm, and fulfilled. Ultimately, the boundary of selective availability is a form of quiet strength, a way of saying with confidence and grace, "I know my worth, and I will not be rushed or undervalued." This message resonates deeply in any connection and sets the stage for relationships that are not only passionate, but also enduring and respectful, embodying the best of both ancient wisdom and modern insight. Every boundary you set sends a powerful and unmistakable message. I know exactly who I am, and I'm not afraid to let go of anything or anyone that fails to respect that. This declaration isn't merely about drawing lines. It's about embodying a level of self-awareness and strength that few men truly achieve. Such unwavering masculine energy doesn't just attract, it captivates and leaves an indelible mark. It's the kind of presence that women find not only magnetic, but deeply reassuring, signaling a man who lives with integrity and unshakable confidence. This concept aligns closely with the timeless wisdom of the Stoics, who taught that our value comes from within, and that protecting our inner domain is paramount. As the French writer Antoine de Saint-Exupéry wisely observed, love does not consist in gazing at each other, but in looking outward together in the same direction. In this light, boundaries aren't walls meant to isolate, but pillars that uphold your vision and your commitment to self-respect. They are the framework within which genuine connection can flourish. When a man stands firm in his boundaries, he doesn't just protect his energy, he models leadership by living authentically and with purpose. This clarity and conviction spark curiosity and respect in others, especially women, who intuitively recognize strength without arrogance and confidence without neediness. Which of these boundaries resonates most profoundly with your experience? How have setting clear limits impacted your relationships and sense of self? Drop a comment below to share your insights and stories. If this message speaks to you, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more straightforward, practical dating psychology rooted in both modern science and ancient wisdom. Remember, setting boundaries isn't about building walls, it's about defining the space where you can thrive, connect, and lead. So, until next time, keep setting the standard high, protect your frame with unwavering resolve, and own every moment with the kind of quiet confidence that turns heads and wins hearts.